After 8 hours of cultivation, Jacob had successfully unlocked 2 more openings. It was indeed helpful to cultivate in a place full of essence. Even Snowflake, who was absorbing the nature essence with its demon beast instinct, strived toward level 2. In fact, demon beasts had their core cultivation techniques. However, since Snowflake didn't activate its intelligence, it could only launch basic attacks with the nature essence accumulated in its body, and couldn't circulate the nature essence in its body at will. Since Jacob didn't have any skills and experiences in raising spirit beasts, he didn't know how to nurture it with his own nature essence. He could only communicate with Snowflake with simple gestures. Otherwise, Snowflake should have been in level 2 or even level 3 with the amounts of elixir pills it had consumed. Jumping out of the cave, Jacob practiced the fundamental boxing techniques 3 times before practicing the sword array formation several times. After that, he felt like his entire body was refreshed. Snowflake was rolling in the fields of wildflowers. Since there was no other animals in the valley, it didn't have to act like a dignified demon beast. It bit into the wildflowers and raced around. It looked exactly like a typical dog on the countryside. Snowflake, stop playing. We need to head back. With one hand, Jacob grabbed Snowflake, that was covered in flower petals, and tossed it into the air. Snowflake rolled in the air and landed on the ground as a magnificent snowline. Let's go. Jacob patted Snowflake's head, and they shot out of the valley. After returning to their respective sects last night, the 3 elders carefully prepared gifts and placed 3 treasure boxes at the entrance of the valley. However, Jacob didn't see them since he was in a hurry to go back to First Heaven. About 50 miles from the valley, a golden lion roared suddenly, and the girl who was riding on its back was so startled that she almost jumped onto the nearby mountain summit. "Lily, what happened?" The girl hugged the golden lion's neck and complained. The golden lion, called Lily, looked in the direction of Snowflake and shook its head with force. Just a moment ago, it had felt the distinct aura of one of its kind. An elder was sent by Master to find a spirit stone mine in 5th Heaven and hasn't returned after 3 days. Lily, use your senses and see if there are any traces of snow lines nearby. The girl rubbed Lily's forehead and urged. While she spoke, Snowflake, carrying Jacob, flew past her in a dash. "Snow lion!" the girl yelled. Then she found something was not right. So fast. Is it one of Master's? But a level 4 spirit beast wouldn't come here. While she hesitated, Snowflake and Jacob both disappeared from her sight in half a second. Jacob dashed down 5th Heaven and patrolled around before he went back for his classes. After all the Friday classes, Kathy and Jacob decided to get their stuff from their dorms and meet at the bus stand. They got on the bus and arrived at his place by 4 in the evening. Mila was busy in the kitchen with a black and white sweater and white apron on. She came home earlier today on purpose to make a nice dinner for the family. Since she didn't cook much, she started to prepare early. Noah came home a long time ago. He sat in front of the TV on the couch, having a blast on the new PS3 Walter got him. Grandma was in a good mood. She was drinking her tea and watching the exciting images on the screen, cheering for Noah. "Hey, brother," Noah shouted out as soon as he saw Jacob. His shout startled Jacob, and the latter took a few steps back. He pretended to be Noah's brother last time when they went to the South Atlantic Dragon Palace, but he never thought about actually becoming this demon's big brother. On top of that, Noah had always tried to act cool, so it surprised Jacob when this kid called him brother on his own. His grandma laughed out pleasantly when she heard this. After greeting him, Noah turned around and refocused his attention on the exciting game. Grandma had promised him 3 more games as long as he treated Jacob as his brother. Between his dignity and the games, Noah decisively chose the latter. "The more I look at Noah, the more I like him. He's become a part of the family so easily. You need to treat him like a little brother, too," Grandma said to Jacob, who was dumbfounded. "Right." Jacob walked to the couch carefully and thought. Grandma bribed a mighty demon into becoming her grandson with a PS3. Although he had no idea what Noah was as a demon beast, he knew that Noah had great potential due to his success in transforming into a human. Not to mention that he was also the disciple of Thomas, one of the 9 ancestors to all dragons. "Why don't you play with Noah for a bit?" Grandma urged Jacob. Jacob saw that Noah was having the time of his life. He picked up a controller and started playing with him casually. Noah shouted out loud during the game and didn't look like a demon beast at all. Snowflake was definitely similar to him. They didn't even realize how many hours had passed until dinner was ready. "Time for dinner! Time for dinner!" Mila called out as soon as she came out of the kitchen. Walter carried the dishes out with Mila happily, setting the table together. The family gathering cheered Grandma up. Mila made an entire table of dishes today, and the sincerity was more than enough to melt some of Grandma's anger on her. To make the room livelier, Grandma turned the TV to the news channel and called out to everyone, "Let's eat! Let's eat!" For her, work was not a priority. The most important thing was for the entire family to get together and enjoy dinner happily. "Jacob, has there been any problem with Soph's dad's company?" Walter suddenly asked. No problems," Jacob answered uncertainly. "Oh, I just heard some rumors about the mismanagement of MTX Group. Their sales and profit has been declining lately, so I was a bit worried. That was why I asked," Walter said. "Is that so?" Grandma frowned a little. "I haven't been watching the stock market a lot lately, but I did notice the stock price of MTX Group declining." It's normal for stocks to fluctuate," Jacob laughed nervously and answered. "No, I'm going to take another look." Grandma suddenly left the table and went upstairs by holding the railing. The family all put their cutlery down and waited for Grandma to come back. Kathy sat there silently, registering in her mind how involved Jacob's family was with Sophie's. Noah was the only one who had no idea what stocks were. He took this opportunity to snitch several good chicken pieces into his bowl. A few minutes later, Grandma came back to the dining room from the stairs with a hunched back. She said seriously, "I took a look, and the MTX Group stock has been dropping to the limit for 7 days straight." Walter and Mila were both surprised at Grandma's words. They didn't know much about business. That was why they didn't focus on the news about the MTX Group when they heard rumors. However, the stock market had been doing great lately, and Grandma had been delighted with the money she was making. It was weird for the MTX Group stock to drop that much. "Is there anything we can do to help?" Mila asked Walter, who was sitting across from her. Walter frowned intensely, as he didn't know what to say. The MTX Group was a large business group in America, and the numbers on their financial reports were rounded to the nearest millions. However, Jacob's parents were only scientists, and there wasn't much they could do. "Walter, why don't you make a phone call to Soph's dad and ask him about it?" Grandma suggested. That wouldn't be appropriate, Mom. Maybe Soph's dad is stressed out about it now. It's not a good time to call them and ask about it." Mila stopped her hastily. "Then tell them that even if they go bankrupt and fall in debts, I still want Soph." Grandma straightened her back and said stubbornly. "And tell him not to worry about the business. I still have a saving about $80,000, and I can give it all to them to start again if they need it," Grandma continued. $80,000, a drop of water in the ocean compared to the amount of money MTX Group was losing daily. Grandma probably didn't realize this, but her concern showed how much she cared. "Don't worry, Mom. It's nothing more than the normal ups and downs of business," Walter comforted her after seeing how upset she was. He was very worried as well. Even though he wasn't in the field of business, he knew that a 7-day straight decline meant that the company was facing a tremendous crisis. There was a moment of silence, and Walter regretted bringing up this topic. At the moment, the TV station began reporting a piece of news. The MTX Group, one of America's leading business corporations, has fallen under a crisis. Rumors have it that the corporation is undergoing a large replacement of its high-level executives. This has caused a sharp drop in MTX Group's stock. It has been declining for the past 7 consecutive days, and the situation in MTX Group in the U.S. is causing a chain reaction for its subsidiaries all over the world. This news completely crushed Walter's comfort. Grandma's face fell. Jacob could imagine that a piece of news like this would result in a further decline in MTX Group's stock price. The image of skyscrapers crashing down suddenly appeared in his head. Of course, the news might not be 100% true. He knew that the reason for MTX Group's crisis was because the business groups of the other dragon clans stopped doing business with MTX Group. Doing business was like the flow of water, and would only be alive if there were transactions. The North Atlantic Dragon Clan was the first one who tried to start a business on land. It got bigger and bigger, and the foundation it built was more and more stable. They had been helping out a few other Dragon Clans' businesses in the past decades. But these Dragon Clans took this opportunity to turn around and work against the company, causing the MTX Group to lose a few largest business partners it had. It was easy to foresee the challenge the MTX Group was facing right now. The powers had their territories, but businesses didn't. If the MTX Group were to go bankrupt, the other companies could take the opportunity to grow stronger by splitting MTX Group's market. They could even open their subsidiaries in the city. Just when Jacob thought this through, the news continued. The CEO of the foreign investment business of MTX Group, Mr. Darius Richards, announced that he is returning to the U.S. This would be his first time coming back after taking over MTX Group's foreign investment branch 20 years ago. Jacob looked towards the TV immediately as Sophie's last name, Richards, caught his attention. Darius. Could that be the second uncle of Sophie, who's been in London? He fixated his eyes on the TV, but all he could see was a picture of a round-eyed, gray-haired old man with a cane in his hand. He was exuding a strong aura.